Good morning, afternoon, evening or night, whenever you're watching this, welcome. I'm in Whitby, North Yorkshire. It's a bit of an amateur treasure hunting hotspot. There's quite a few charity, thrift-style shops in town, plenty of dumpsters, and by the sea there's sea glass, a multitude of minerals in pretty rounded pebbles, shells and jet, arguably the finest quality jet in the world. And of course, there's collapsing cliffs, chock full of Jurassic sea fossils. On walks here I've met fossil hunters, jet hunters, beachcombers and metal detectorists. And the detectorists? They didn't go where I'm going. A low pressure spot to the side of where the high tide crashes into a sometimes quite fierce little river. A spot I just know the water will have dropped many metal things. So, let's see if there's anything worth finding. Plain to see that I'm not the first person to walk this way today, but maybe I'm the first person looking for metal relics, and hopefully not too many people will interrupt. Honestly, it's pretty hard to find places here that aren't far too crowded for my liking. Nice characterful bit of rust. I'm sure there's going to be more than enough rusty iron here, but it's the non-ferrous metals that I'm really searching for, like copper wire. Well, of course, copper wire is not all that interesting. Coins and boating relics is what I'm hoping for, and pirate treasure, gemstones, silver and gold. For those about to mention it, yes, the black sand streaks do hold a little bit of gold. I'm not going after that today. It's not really in any worthwhile quantity to extract. Even the densest, thickest patches of black sand hereabouts have only a tiny, tiny amount of the finest, hardly even their flour gold. The piece of copper wire I just found is probably more valuable scrap than all of the gold I found in a fair few hours of panning. Still, I don't do gold panning for the monetary value. I do it because it's fun and I like learning how to find different things. So if you'd like me to do an in-depth amateur gold hunting video sometime, then please do say. Ah, that looks like a coin. And it's a little older. Modern coins are steel-centered, and in this condition the copper jacket would have started to peel. But no, this is all copper. Well, 98%. Probably a 2p piece, circa 1970 to 90, and it's not going to part from the steel easily. It's held in the strong grip of rust. Anchor chain, I think. Very rusty. Oh, and another coin. It's definitely a 2p piece, and definitely a steel core one, modern. This little alleyway between the old dock wall and a former boathouse, it's almost always covered in sand, so this, it being largely clear, is an opportunity that I've been hoping for. Rusty piece of old cast iron. I was hoping there'd be something better underneath, but no, just pebbles. And the cast iron itself, I have taken similar pieces to use as counterweights in models, but I still haven't used them, so I shouldn't really take more. Oh, from a distance it was glowing as if it was a fine banded agate. Up close there isn't any translucence, though it's still got some banding going on. I think I'll take it and maybe polish it up in my rock tumbler. I see a little bit of brass that I want, just a pipe valve, a modern plumbing piece, firmly stuck by the side of this big clump of rust though. Well, I'll come back to it with a chisel, and for now move on to this, some form of bracket, not one I can easily identify, and thought this might be lead, the right colour but far too light. And this is a hinge, I think, mostly brass but with some iron oxide, and maybe surprising it will get this blob loose. No. Oh well, I will get it, it'll just be a bit of work. Hiding somewhere here, there's surely something worth finding. The conditions are right, but I just can't see it yet. Is that it? Ah, coin. Very much a modern steel cord, 2 pence I think. I'm still hoping for something much older. As interruptions go, that was quite a pleasant one. A family curious as to what I was doing joined in the hunt for a bit, and they're from a town near to my hometown. They found those bits, and I extracted the pipe valve. It wasn't easy until it was. Found this bracket which looks rather like a money clip. A spacer or something, brass anyway. A coin which I think is a relatively new but still copper penny, and an older pre-decimal penny. There's the ghost of a date on it. It looks a bit like 1901, so somewhere between 1910 and 1919. I think I'm starting to get my eye in now. The coins seem to be mostly vertical, standing on their edges between stones, so I'm mostly looking for short, thin and straight bits of brown metal that reveal themselves to be circle when you move them. Oh, I see one. Smaller than the penny, not sure what that'll be. Oh, another one. I hope it doesn't seem like I'm planting them. I wouldn't do that. I've just tuned my eyes and, well, my brain-powered pattern recognition abilities to spot them. Please do shout out if you see anything interesting. I cannot hope to spot everything. Copper square nail, a design still in use today but could well be centuries old, and found here almost certainly means it was part of a boat. Now I just know that there's going to be brass things in this big agglomeration of iron and rust. I can see a few pieces sticking out, but though I do have a hammer and chisel in my bag, I really don't want to attract attention, so I'd have to drag it out of here, carry it through town, hit it repeatedly with a hammer, and then clean up after. It's very unlikely to be worth all that effort. This smaller piece, it's got what looks like the edge of a coin sticking out. And it is a coin. Too far gone to easily identify, of course, but size-wise, I think old penny is most likely. Oh, I think I see a fossil. That's quite beautiful, really. I don't know if the camera's catching it. I doubt it. It's very subtle, but it's covered in lines banding all the way around. Looks a bit like a fossilized hazelnut. But less fun perhaps, it's a fossilized piece of coral. Quite common hereabouts, but a nice little find nonetheless. Nope, I'm not going to move. Most of the time when I go hunting for treasures, my first aim is for solitude and quiet. This place has neither. I hope that's not too much of a problem for the people who watch my videos for a bit of calm and relaxation. I am planning on heading away from the noisy cafe up there soon, have a walk along the beach, see if I can spot any bits of jet, maybe some sea glass and fossils. I know that copper and brass and rust aren't really to everyone's taste. First though, I think I'll try to get some of the bits and pieces I can see in that little pool. There's copper square nails, bits and pieces of copper, a few things that look like coins, but they're not going to come out at all easily. It's like concrete. The pier that's creating this low-pressure spot was built between 1780 and 1790, though this boathouse, I'm not sure when it was built. I think it might have been the old lifeboat station before it was moved to the other side of the pier. Got it. Just another copper square nail, but a success nonetheless. Not yet. Let's try something else and come back to it. That was a lot easier. It's a simple copper bracket, which of course is not really very interesting, but I'm still happy to take it. Oh, that wasn't even stuck, just loosely lying in the sand. Another coin. I do wish I was finding more variety in the coins that I'm finding here. Mostly quite modern, and the oldest so far is probably no more than 130 years old. Modern penny. I was kinda hoping this spot would have a few much older things to find. I guess maybe there might be something hiding lower down. Copper beading trim, probably once used in a boat cabin. I'll try again to get this thing, which is absolutely not worth the effort. Not at all interesting, I can see what it is. Yay, I got it. A small piece of brass all thread. Certainly not the last of the things that are here to find, but I'm in need of a bit of movement. The front casement of a pocket watch, I think. Smallish, so not a particularly early one. Late 19th, early 20th century, maybe. I've just found this, and I think it looks a little bit like a coin. Too much rust to see much, but let's get whatever it is out and see if there's anything to see. That's got it. And I don't know. I mean, I still think it's a coin. The small piece of edge that is clear looks right for a coin. The rust and the crust are hiding any details that might confirm that. And the rest of the concretion, do I take it? Nah, not today. I don't think I've seen all of the states that the harbour beach gets into. This is a relatively recent one. Sticks and logs and tree trunks brought here by autumn storm-powered very high tides. And if the tide is bringing wood, it's probably also dropping jet. Not in exactly the same places. Jet tends to be along the top line of the seaweed, and it's closely related to coal, so look out for patches of coal dust colouring the beach. I don't really think there's much, if any, left to find inside the bay. There's a lot of people looking down and picking things up, so let's head out of the bay and see what the sea's doing, see if there's a possibility of walking down towards Saltwick Bay. No, not a chance. This is supposed to be low tide right now. I'd forgotten that there is a large storm raging 100 miles south, and I think it might well be sending a bit of storm surge this way. Frustrating. I'd hoped to include some jet and fossil hunting into this video. Still, it's nice to get out of the harbour for a bit, get away from the sounds of the town and the many, many people, and see how the ever-changing cliffs have changed since I last saw them a few weeks ago. I love those little birds, turnstones they're called. That one's quite wary of me, keeping well distant, but in the town they live very close by to humans. Might go visit some of them after this and share a snack with them. First though, I think I'll share a little interlude with you. A trip several months ago to Whitby Abbey, which was obligingly photogenic, bathed in low cloud flowing mistiness. There was a coachload of school kids visiting too, so it was a bit noisy, so I'll put it to music. Back in the harbour, and there's always something to find. It might not be what I'd hoped to be finding, but it's still a nice piece of blue and white, and I'll take it. I'm working on a mosaic made of pottery sherds, and I guess it's nice to have pieces from all of the places I visit included. If only I could remember which pieces came from where. Hard to do when most of them are pieces of the same pattern. Sea glass, green, not very smooth and pleasantly rounded. None of it really is here inside the harbour walls. Thinking about it, they seem to keep out most of what makes this stretch of coastline so very, very good for modest treasure hunting. A little bit of jet finds its way in, not much, a few fossils, not many, and some pebbles, but not the beautiful range of interesting mineralogy that lands on the beaches just beyond the opposite harbour wall. Still, I found a metal patch. I think I should head back there and make the best of things. For anyone interested in such things, I'm filming this in October 2023, and tomorrow begins the October Whitby Goth weekend. I haven't been to it before, and I'm fairly sure I won't enjoy the crowds, but I think I'll enjoy seeing the pageantry, the Krampus run, and some of the music performances. Anyway, back at the metal patch, let's see what I missed earlier in this video. There really is quite a lot of black sand here, streaks of mostly magnetite, so if anyone wants to pan for gold here, you might, with a lot of patience, find a few very, very tiny specks. I seem to have the eye now for spotting coins. That's gonna be unreadable, but probably a pre-decimal penny, and probably a little bit more than a century old. I will try to gently clean up these coins when I get home and see what they were and when they were made. No promise though that I'll be able to. Seawater is quite corrosive for copper. I guess maybe that's part of why I'm not finding things that are much older. That and only looking on the surface. So hands up who wants me to do a metal detecting video or two. Note to self, buy a new metal detector. Clumps of rust concretion. I guess the high concentration of these might account for why there's still so many coins here, when I have seen metal detectorists searching on this very beach. This patch is absolutely full of iron signals, not even counting the black sand. I wish I understood more fully the complexities of fluid dynamics and coastal deposition so I could better explain why that is, and why I knew without even really thinking about it that this would be a metal-rich patch. This, think it's plant matter, not plastic or metal. That's metal though, a piece of copper pipe. Full of sand and not very interesting, but I'm happy to take it. That thing there is a bit more interesting, a piece of an ammonite fossil somehow embedded in a chunk of rust concretion. I might take it, not sure. I'm quite interested in fossils, but I've found better examples. Into a pile for now. That's nothing, but that I think looks like another coin. Yeah, probably a modern penny, steel core burst out and rusting. Only really interesting in as far as it was right there on the surface. It's not a recent drop, and I've found lots of coins here on the surface, so just imagine what's lying deeper. I recognise this. Well, it's not necessarily what I recognise, a brass part from a folding carpenter's ruler. It could well be from a different tool, something more maritime in nature. If you have a better suggestion, I'd be happy to hear it. I've learned a lot from kind people leaving comments, and there's always more to learn. I'm not really expecting to see anything much when I turn a rock over, just the usual, you know, gold, silver, slood. A beetle. That's kind of unexpected. I don't really associate them with salty foreshore. Seems quite happy in the water, a very good swimmer. Still, I'm sorry to have disturbed it. Oh, yes, a coin hiding behind. Looks very much like a modern 2p piece. Fully copper, but Queen Elizabeth II, rest in peace, looking relatively young, so maybe 1970s to early 80s. Should I be leaving these younger finds for future treasure hunters to whom this might potentially actually seem like quite a treasure? I'd be interested to hear thoughts on the matter. Just wondering if some of the coins were thrown in here from the pier or the walkway to the boathouse. No reason to suspect that, but there are more coins than I was really expecting here in such a small area. There's another one. This looks like a decimal halfpenny, which were made between 1971 and 1984. Not particularly old, but one day it will be. I think I've searched pretty much everywhere here now, of the surface at least, and of course I haven't found even remotely close to everything. I've missed stuff, I haven't dug, I haven't chiselled away at the concretions around the corrugated iron masonry shields, and I've barely broken open any rust blobs by hitting them with stones. So if you want to do any of that and you happen to be visiting Whitby, then this is a spot that, if the conditions are favourable, might still hold a few modest treasures for you to find.
Come on, stop phoning. Oh, shit.
A roundup time soon to follow. After opening some post, I've received a parcel, and unlike the unboxing feature in the last video, I have no idea who this is from, and no certainty as to what it contains. No return address, and the only thing I know for sure is it came from inside the UK, though the size and shape of it does limit the possibilities somewhat. I'm guessing either a small book or a CD. Okay. Hello, we enjoyed your YouTube channel and hoped you might enjoy our music. Please find enclosed a copy of our first album. Awesome, thank you to Stealing the Fire. I haven't heard of your band before, but I am very happy to give it a listen. I do very much enjoy exploring new to me music. It's a form of treasure hunting after all, and I am a treasure hunter. Wow, this knife is looking rough. I've recently used it to strip some wire that I found at the seaside. Salt and thin steel don't play nicely together. Hot ice and wondrous strange snow by Stealing the Fire. Thank you very much. I shall enjoy giving that a listen, and hopefully have something good to say about it soon. Now a brief music review. Kind of. I did give the CD a few listens. It's not a style that I've previously found all that easy to get into, electronic progressive music, but I am really glad that I did give it a few listens. It led to me looking up the band on YouTube, and I found some earlier slightly psychedelic music there that I really enjoyed exploring. Now several months later I have a few of their songs firmly embedded in my regular YouTube music playlist, which I listen to often. It was quite a surprise to be sent an album, but a nice surprise. Thank you. Now onto the roundup. Coins. It was a bit of a coin hotspot without actually having anything really very old and interesting to find. I did go a bit further than I should have, too aggressive I think, in trying to clean up the most interesting looking coin of the lot, which I think might be the oldest, early 19th century, looks like 1820 something. I've done damage. I really do need to work on my coin cleaning skills. If I actually did some damage to a much older and more historically important coin, I would feel quite bad, and I do have plenty of younger coins to practice on. Some of these date from the early to mid-20th century, most of them from the late 20th century, and a few are potentially still spendable. Coins can of course be very interesting, but I'm actually finding the copper square nails slightly more interesting. It was years of looking before I found any, and then I started finding them everywhere. But this is the first time that I've found some actually directly on a foreshore, not just in a stream nearby, like I found about 7 miles further down the coast in Robin Hood's Bay. And these, I am as close to certain as I can be, were probably used in old boats. Context is key. Some of these other brass things almost certainly came from old boats too, and neither they nor the nails are all that historically important. Perhaps they're only important in my head. They certainly wouldn't excite a finds liaison officer or a museum, but I do love finding things to do with old boats, perhaps related to reading a lot about boating and sea journeys and shipwrecks in my youth, and perhaps related to my desire to build a boat one day in my future. I also just love finding things, and no trip to the coast would be complete without a bit of a hunt for sea glass, or stones and pebbles with interesting mineralogy, or fossils, whatever that particular stretch of coastline has to find, and that stretch of coast has all of that, and more. Jet, of course, which I found a bit of on that trip. The town of Whitby is popular and a lot of people visit, some of whom drop things, like these few bits of costume jewellery that I picked up off pavements. The town has 10 thrift charity shops. I do like a bit of bargain hunting, and on that trip I picked up some books, some CDs, this small pewter tankard, about 92% tin, which is an essential ingredient for casting bronze, and this vessel, which... well, I snapped it up as soon as I saw it. Didn't need to see a maker's mark, which it no longer has, or a hallmark, long since polished away. I instantly knew that it was old and solid silver. It looks to me very much like it might be Georgian, 18th century, somewhere around about 1750. It has some damage, some repairs, and one of its last owners seems to have used it to hold paintbrushes. If anyone watching has particular knowledge around such things, I'd be very interested to hear, even if I'm very wrong in my guesses. I don't think that it's a historical treasure of any great value, but certainly much more than scrap value, which in turn is a lot more than the charity shop was asking for it. £8 in case you're interested, and it is 355 grams of solid sterling silver. Whitby is also currently experiencing an influx of fairly wealthy people buying up a lot of properties and having them gutted and then renovated. So lots of dumpsters with building waste, including a surprising amount of copper wire being discarded and heading towards landfill if someone like me does not intervene. Neither charity shopping nor dumpster diving are things that I'm all that comfortable with filming, but I thought I'd include some of the wider finds of the trip for once, since I didn't find all that much in the actual video. I hope that's okay, and if it is, I wonder, what other hobbies I have might you like to see something of? For instance, would you perhaps like to see me do an unboxing video of a big load of old jewellery? I've been buying some cheap lots on eBay to search through for silver for casting and filming the process. Found that aside from occasional lucky finds in charity shops, that's the cheapest way for me to find scrap silver to melt down. And I was planning on maybe putting a few such simple videos on my Patreon page, which at the time of this video doesn't yet exist. If you're watching it in future months, maybe years to come, then maybe it will. Anyway, the next jewellery unboxing, what do you reckon? Should I or shouldn't I film it more conscientiously and put it out on this very channel? I await your opinion. I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, and if you'd like to, then any expression of appreciation is most welcome. So a big thank you in advance to anyone who presses the like button, the subscribe button and the bell icon, writes a comment, replies to somebody else's comment, shares a link to my videos on another platform. It all helps. Another big thank you to all of the kind people who donate through Ko-fi, super chats during premieres, super thanks on video pages, purchases from my Amazon wish lists, or for anything that anyone wants to send to my postal address. I am very grateful. I hope that you're looking after yourself and loved ones as best you can. Thank you all very much for watching, and for now, goodbye.